A big-time comeback for the Denver Nuggets. 31,000 career points for Kevin Durant. It's all coming up now on Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night, tipping off now.
You are Locked On NBA Game Night, every game, every night. 22 of them in the association tonight. And to break it all down, I am Gavin Schall. I am filling in for Hayes. I'm the host or co-host of the Locked On Knicks podcast. He is Swipa. You know him. He does this regularly on Fridays. He is the fantastic co-host of the Locked On Nuggets podcast. Again, this is Locked On NBA Game Night, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in the entire world, covering, in my biased opinion, Swipa, the #1 sport in the entire world. And you got some good evidence of that getting to go watch Denver and Atlanta in person tonight.
Yeah, it was a great night of NBA basketball, high-level competition. I got to see Jalen Johnson do something that almost no player in NBA history has done. Get a triple-double in less than 20 minutes. Phenomenal game for Jalen Johnson, Jokic, Jamal Murray, Nikola Alexander. It was a show they put on for the crowd.
All right, we're going to dive into it. First, I want to remind everyone that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL bets live all season long. Again, we're talking Denver, Atlanta. We're talking Kevin Durant moving into 8th all-time on the all-time scoring list. That makes me feel incredibly old. I remember that guy was a rookie, but that's cool. And a whole bunch of Eastern Conference powerhouses notching some big wins. The one that didn't, though, you noted it, the Atlanta Hawks, who dominate the first half of that game, hit 13 of their first 15 shots, have 13 assists in the first quarter. Their lead tops out at 63-40 in the second quarter. Nikola Jokic just 2 of 13 from the field in the first half. I don't remember him having a half of basketball that inefficient in the regular season. He made up for it. Finishes with 39 points, 11 of 13 in the second half. How did Denver pull off this counterpunch against a desperate Hawks team trying to avoid their 3rd loss in a row?
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, it definitely started with the Nugget starters in the third quarter. David Adelman, he has been trying to press the right buttons to get the defense to act right again for the last couple of weeks, Gavin, and they have just not been doing it. And so, hey, you know what? Cool. You don't want to play defense. You're down 23 at one point in the second quarter. Do you want this game to be a blowout, or are you going to do the things you need to do to win? They come back out, Gavin. They play full court pressure, and they absolutely turn the tide. Gavin, let me tell you how just amazing this was. Within the 3 minutes and 11 seconds to start the third quarter, they went from a 19-point deficit to a 4-point deficit right away. Now, I want to give credit to the Hawks because Kristaps Porzingis, you want to talk about a quarter. He absolutely made sure the Hawks stayed ahead in that quarter. He really went to work. Just a honestly great get for them. He had 7 points in that quarter. Zachary Richey had 6 points in that quarter, had a nice turnaround. So they were fighting, man. But you know what happened? Jokic had 19 points in the third, and he just laid the hammer. Didn't miss one shot. And then in the clutch, he had 11 points in the clutch today, just putting the Atlanta Hawks away. But Jamal Murray, Gavin, I'm telling you right now, man, 23 points and 12 assists for Jamal versus Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dyson Daniels. They could not handle him all night. Multiple made threes. The Nuggets went on a 20-0 run when Jokic went to the bench today, which put them in the lead in double digits at one point in time. So, look, man, I got to tell you, this Nuggets team, they're trying to figure stuff out. They definitely, they have some stuff they're working out and trying to be more consistent on some things. But this is a special, special team, man. And they really, when they put it on you, they can put it on you in a very unique way.
This is a tangent we probably don't have time for with 11 games, but I need to ask, since I don't know the next time I'm going to get to talk to you, what's clicking into place for Jamal Murray? Because he, to me, from an outside view, hasn't been the same guy since that finals year. And I was worried, in his late 20s, all right, this is it for Jamal Murray. We're never going to see that version of him again. He comes out this year, looks like potentially a lock to make his first All-Star break. He's been amazing every time I've watched this team play this year.
Yeah, man. Look, he's averaging 25, 5, and 7, but it's the 50% from the field, 46% from three, and 89 from the line that people are missing. And he's not going to have the scoring volume like a lot of guards do, but dude, like Evan, if you watch him, I'm talking about isolation, post work, playmaking, passing, distributing, the driving, the pull-up game. His handle is so unbelievably crisp. And he is so good because he's so big. He's 6'4". He's just taking his game to another level, man. He just looks good. He feels good right now. And you can just tell the team is like, they're trying to give him more and more opportunities to excel. But brother, I'm telling you right now, like, I know people are looking at it and we're like, there's a lot of players in the league and, all this other stuff. But I'm just telling y'all, last 14 games for Jamal Murray, man, like, he has been a man on a mission. I'm telling you, 26-8. And he has been shooting 52, 53 from the field over the last 14 games. That's over half the season. So, look, Gavin, I legit think he's probably going to, if he doesn't, man, I don't know. It's going to be a disappointment. I think he should make his first All-Star game this year.
He made 9 straight threes last game. I got to watch him against the Suns where he single-handedly landed a knockout punch in that game. He's been amazing. But let's get the Hawks' perspective on this.
Yeah.
There was certainly an all-star on the court on Atlanta's side. It was Jalen Johnson. Atlanta inches away from their best win of the season. Brad Rowland has the breakdown.
Hello, friends. My name is Brad Rowland, the host of the Locked On Hawks podcast, and the Hawks suffered a pretty brutal loss on Friday evening, leading by as many as 23 points, up 19 at the half, and then things got away from them in a big way. I will say it was a tale of two halves. In the first half, the Hawks could not miss, and the Nuggets could not make a shot. After halftime, Denver went absolutely scorched earth. They scored 80 points after halftime, including a stretch in the fourth quarter in which they made 7 consecutive threes. But the Hawks did help them along the way with some poor defense, a strange lineup to begin the fourth quarter with a lot of bench units that were not exactly clicking for the Hawks in this game. So in the end, big picture, not a disappointing loss to lose by 1 to the Nuggets, but the way this unfolded will sting for the Hawks for a while, including the end of the game where Nikola Walker lays it in with 2 seconds to go, down by 3 to lose by 1. So a lot to get to from this one. We'll have a full breakdown and more on Locked On Hawks.
You mentioned it earlier, but Jalen Johnson, I want to hear from you what it was like seeing him in person. 21 points, 18 rebounds, 16 assists. You noted it already, but first player in Hawks history in the play-by-play era to have a triple-double in the first half. Like he was ripping Denver apart early in this game. There's one play that stood out to me where he got blitzed by Murray and Jokic, and he just kind of casually like jumps over them and rips like a no-look pass down the line to Shea cutting for an and one layup. Like it feels like just the court sense and like the degree to which the game is slowed down for him at his size with his athleticism. Like the guy is a monster, and it could be turning into like kind of like not the same with the injuries, but a Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid situation where the face of the franchise in Atlanta is kind of changing before our eyes.
Look, I don't know if this is going to be a hot take, but he's been their best player for me. I like Trey, but Jalen's a very good passer. He was 4th in the NBA last year in passes per game. A lot of people don't realize that. He was already a high-level passer last year. He is like he is big, dude. He's like 6'9". He's kind of built like a tight end, like you think like a Kellen Winslow type of player. He's super athletic. He's really smooth for how big he is as well. And so he's also shooting 40.5% from 3. Granted, like you're not defending him as like a high-level shooter, but 53 from the field, that's really good. And tonight, man, it's not a small thing. Like Jokic, the last player to do 21, 18, and 16 is Jokic. So for you to be in that kind of category because you're able to do it all like that, Jalen Johnson for me is like a future All-NBA player, if not this season. He is the heartbeat for the Hawks. And by the way, not just Jalen Johnson, but as somebody who was in many different situations, whether it be the Utah Jazz or just even kind of with the Wolves tenure when they let him go because of the money, Nikola Walker, y'all, he is having a great season. Did you know he's averaging over 20 this year? He has 30 points tonight on 5 made threes. And honestly, every time he touched the ball, you could just look at the Nuggets defense. They're just like, why? Whatever we do, we cannot let him get an open jumper. Both of them, man, I'm talking about cornerstone players for that franchise.
Yeah, Zach Lowe did a great job breaking down this. I mean, they're running the Quinn Snyder offense, which at sometimes is a challenge to run with how dominant Trey is. It's going to be interesting to see if Trey can incorporate himself into that, or if go back to the LeBron quote, is he going to fit in? Is he going to fit out? And if he fits out, that could be actively destructive for Atlanta, despite how much of a talent he is. We will see about that down the road. We spent a lot of time on this one. I think it deserved it. We have 10 more games to get to. Don't go anywhere. It's all coming up next on Locked On NBA Game Night. But first, we want to tell you about our good friends over at DoorDash. The season is heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season just that much more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. It's true of your Hawks fans tonight. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need a dessert now. Those late-night interviews hit, and suddenly you need chips at midnight. DoorDash is built for exactly that. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long. What's up, guys? We are back here on Locked On NBA Game Night, breaking down every game in the association. We have 10 more to roll through, so we will head over to Oklahoma City, where, guess what? The Thunder got another big win. Is that a shock to anyone? It's not a shock to me. Let's see how it happened. Nick Angstad, Locked On Mavs.
I mean, really, what are they doing? Dallas Mavericks fall to the Thunder, and that makes sense. The Thunder are 23-1 now. They're an incredible team. Not mad about that at all. But Anthony Davis played his worst game as a Dallas Maverick. Not played many games, but he did play one game, only 6 minutes. And so that is saying something that this was his worst game. Didn't score until the fourth quarter, and in the third quarter, he knocked knees with Chet Holmgren. He falls down, he's holding his knee, he stands up, he goes to the bench, and then his knee is like super wrapped up with ice and all kinds of stuff. We think, all right, Mavs are down 30. There's really no reason for him to go back in this game. The Mavs are trying to figure out if they can trade Anthony Davis. There's all kinds of questions, and a massive injury to Anthony Davis would be one of the worst things that could happen to the Dallas Mavericks right now. So then the start of the fourth quarter, Mavs are down 104-74, and who checks back into the game but Anthony Davis, who stays in. We're watching, waiting, what's going to happen. He scores finally with 8 minutes and 8 seconds left in the game. Mavs cut the lead to 26, and they're not going to cut the lead anymore against this Thunder team because, man, this Thunder team's defense is incredibly good. SGA didn't even have to play the fourth quarter again. And then right after that, 7:44 left in the game, Anthony Davis subs out. Were they literally just waiting for him to score one basket so that it didn't look like he scored 0 points in a game? Like, was that really the one thing? Does he have some kind of weird scored in a game like LeBron stat where he's just like scoring in every single game for the last 10 years or something like that? It makes no sense to me, and just a risky move for the Dallas Mavericks to do something like that.
Yeah, the vibes are not good in Dallas right now. But let's head over to New York, where Chris Persianen has the latest from a blowout at MSG.
Improved to 12-1 at home, 15-7 on the season, thanks to Jalen Brunson's 33 points, Deuce McBride's 22 points on 7 of 10 three-point shooting, and OG Anunoby's 11 points in his first game back from injury. The Knicks win 146-112 over the Utah Jazz. They've won, again, 12 of their first 13 home games this season. They've played far less on the road, 3-6 away from home. So we'll see if that is a trend for New York or just small sample size theater. We'll also see what happens with Gershon Yabusele, who was out of the rotation tonight with Anunoby back. And we'll see what happens with regard to the Knicks' fifth starter. Mike Brown said he was always going with Josh Hart over Deuce McBride, but that Deuce has made it really tough recently. We'll keep an eye on that. And we'll also find out when Deuce will ever miss again.
I'm annoyed, Swipa. We did it on this podcast last year. I spent all of last season complaining about the Knicks' old starting lineup. They played more possessions than any team in the NBA, despite all the talent in there after January 1st. They were net negative. Everything seems to click into place when Deuce McBride plays. And all he's doing so far this season, 46% from three, 27 of his last 41 from three. As Chris mentioned, 7 of 10 tonight. I think he should probably be out there in place of Josh Hart. It's a little tough to build a good rotation when all 3 of your wings are in your starting lineup. But you know what? Mike Brown knows better than me. Tom Thibodeau couldn't make it work. Maybe Mike Brown can. But let's go from a team that won their 12th home game to one that won their first road game of the season, the Indiana Pacers. Tony East, what's going on?
Tony East here with Locked On Pacers. In the United Center, there used to be a full basketball court right here. It's going away for hockey, but the Pacers won on that basketball court. Their first road win of the season, 120-105 over the massively slumping Chicago Bulls. A lot to like for the Pacers in this game. They really liked their offensive process on their way to that 120. All of their best three players looked comfortable. Ben Mathurin made a bunch of threes. Andrew Nembhard got the team flowing early, made a high percentage of his shots. And Pascal Siakam, of course, the star of it all, 36 points, a season high for him. Comfortable scoring out of the post. He hit some jumpers. He was just moving it really well. And Jay Huff was a good connector for that group as well. The other story for the Pacers in this one is they get their fifth win of the season. Ethan Thompson, a two-way contract guard who's been on the team for about 5 days, had not played rotation minutes yet for them. Instead, plays 18 minutes in a row to close the first half outside of 10 seconds, then starts the second half. So he played about 26 straight minutes of action with halftime, breaking it up. Was excellent on defense, made some shots. He was a huge, huge boost for this team, and the Pacers have won a couple of their last 5. Here they come. We'll have much more on Locked On Pacers.
Swiper, how did the Indiana Pacers approach the rest of the season? We'll get to the Boston Celtics in just a sec. They've obviously made it very clear they're not going to tank. They've proved to be more competitive than anyone thought. Indiana got off to such an awful start, and in some ways, it is just a golden opportunity for them to add more talent when Tyrese Halliburton's back next year. But there's just a culture there that is like not going to allow them to put the sword down. Benedict Mathurin back now. He's playing well. I think this is a team that could crawl back to respectability, even if that's maybe not the best thing for the future of the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, he is the type of coach where he's going to get the best out of his guys. So I think they should continue to play well. But the problem is that their talent level and just where they are, they're just not going to be good enough, I think, to consistently put up good performances each night, obviously. And defensively, they're really struggling. I looked at it this year in the last several games. Andrew Nembhard, when he's been on the floor, they have the worst defense in the NBA this year. And I'm just like, that's not Nembhard. Nembhard's an incredible defender, but it's just they're so behind, I think, because of where the roster is. It takes so much for them to keep up with their opponent. They got to play so well offensively for it to make sense. And I just don't think that's going to be sustainable for them. I want the Pacers to be good and successful. I would love to see them be able to acquire more talent. That way, when Hallie is back next year, they're locked and loaded, ready for another Eastern Conference finals run or a finals run. So I do think definitely do your best and compete, but I don't know if they're going to have much of a chance anyway.
Yeah, you throw a Caleb Wilson, a Koa Pete in there. I mean, it's just going to get scary. You give them a 6'10", hyper athletic young wing to run with what they already have. But I do think they're gonna compete the rest of the season. A lot of close losses this year. We'll see if they turn it around. I mentioned we get to the Boston Celtics, who, against all expectation, against my expectation, you can't kill the Celtics. They've now won 9 of their last 11 games. Jordan Walsh continues to look awesome. But I'm not the expert. That would be John Corrales in Boston. Let's hear what he has to say.
Boston Celtics jumped out to a big lead early, 11-3, and they really never looked back after that. They were up huge at the end of the first quarter. It was 37-15, and every time the Lakers made a run, the Celtics hit a three. They shot 24-45 from 3 in this one, and they kind of got lazy and sloppy in the third quarter. The lead got down to 15. But then another couple of threes to begin the fourth, and the lead was back up over 20 again. And so, very easy win. Of course, the Lakers, no Luka, no LeBron, no Marcus Smart, no return for Marcus Smart in Boston. So, it was a little tough one. I think the league did fans a disservice playing both teams on a back-to-back here. So, it really was not the type of environment that we thought it would be. I think it was a little bit of a rough one here for fans. It was very quiet in this arena. For a Celtics-Lakers matchup, it was a little disheartening to see that kind of atmosphere. But there was no juice to this with all of their stars out. And Austin Reeves playing 40-plus minutes in the last game. The Celtics made him work really, really hard in the first quarter. I know his final stat line looked good, but early on in the first quarter, while the Celtics were building their big lead, Jordan Walsh and the rest of the Celtics defense was really keyed on making his life very, very difficult, and it worked. By the time he got going, this game was already pretty much decided. I'll have much more on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Celtics season high, 24 threes, 31 assists. I mean, they just rolled in this one. 4th in the NBA somehow with all the talent they lost. No Jason Tatum, no Drew Holiday, no Kristaps Porzingis. 4th in the NBA swipe in offensive rating. I mean, I think Joe Mazzulla is making a pretty compelling case for Coach of the Year right now.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to salvage the situation. That's amazing. Again, he has a style. He's figured out something that works, and he's figured out there's a way that you can be successful offensively in this league, and they're doing it. And that honestly, legitimately, like, is incredible that they're able to put up that kind of volume and stuff still. So yeah, they're doing a great job, man. Like, shout out to the Boston Celtics.
Their front court, it really like no business being the front court for a winning NBA team, and they somehow have pulled it all together. Their young wings are a big part of it. Let's real quick get the Lakers perspective from Andy Kiminetsky.
Kiminetsky, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers lose 126-105 to the Celtics in Boston. Second end of a back-to-back. No Luka Doncic, no LeBron James, no Marcus Smart. And the Lakers, frankly, looked exhausted in this game on the heels of a very hard-fought, emotional win over the Raptors the night before. They're often a step slow defensively, which, combined with some legit hot shooting, led to Boston going 24 of 45 from behind the arc. The Lakers struggled with ball movement. They struggled with creating their own shots, finishing. And other than a third quarter push led by 16 points from Austin Reeves, there really was no threat from the Lakers in this game. That one was pretty minor to begin with. It was just a night where the Lakers did not have the horses or the energy. For more Lakers coverage, make sure you're watching Locked On Lakers on YouTube and listening wherever you get your podcasts.
36-8 for Austin Reeves, nearly 100 points over his last two games. He continues to look like one of the best players in the NBA. One of the guys who inarguably is one of the best players in league history, Kevin Durant, 31,000 career points when we come back on Locked On NBA Game Night. But first, we want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so incredibly exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into those moments. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up, and you can even bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It can keep you locked in into every snap, every drive, every possibility. I've been advocating for it all year. The New York Giants have blown more double-digit leads than any team in NFL history. So if the Giants go up, that is a time to jump in on one of those live spreads. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Hey, we're back rocking with you on a Friday night, Locked On NBA Game Night. He's Swipa. I'm Gavin Schall. You can check us out on Locked On Nuggets, Locked On Knicks, respectively. A reminder to keep tuning in on the Locked On Podcast Network. This is your first listen, Locked On Nuggets. Locked On Knicks can be your second listen, Locked On Podcast Network. Now, the number one sports podcast network in the entire world. We promised it. We previewed it. We got to talk about Kevin Durant getting to 31,000 career points. And the best person to help us with that, Jackson Gatlin, the host of the Locked On Rockets podcast.
Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets spoiling Dillon Brooks' first return to the city since being traded. What's up? This is Jackson Gatlin, host of Locked On Rockets, where the Rockets get a 117-98 win against the Phoenix Suns. No Devin Booker for the Suns in this one. No Alperen Sengun for the Rockets. And look, this game was all Suns. After the first quarter, it was 31-24. Phoenix was leading. Dillon Brooks had a quick 14 points and looked unguardable in that first frame. And then Kevin Durant happened. He dropped 17 points and 3 dimes in the second quarter as the Rockets won that frame 44-27. They completely put clamps on Brooks the rest of the way. Only 9 points scored the rest of the game. He finished with 23 points on 24 shots. And once KD took over the game in the second quarter, and then the Suns had to devote resources towards trying to slow him down the rest of the game, it really opened things up for other guys on the Rockets roster. 31 points for Amin Thompson on just 17 shots. Jabari Smith Jr. with 16 points on just 8 shots in this game, and some key contributions off the bench from Aaron Holiday and Reed Shepherd. We're going to break it all down for you over at Locked On Rockets.
He mentioned a 44-point second quarter. KD has 17, his first game back against the Suns, 8th now on the NBA's all-time scoring list. I can't help but think where he would be if not for the torn Achilles and the full year missed. He would be knocking on that Michael Jordan door right about now in 5th place. But Swipa, you've talked to him on Twitter before. I think you almost had him on your podcast this summer. Like, tell me what to think about KD like hitting this historical high.
That's phenomenal. No, KD is a true hooper. He loves basketball. He loves what he does. He is an artist in every sense of the word. So to cross 31,000 points and to do it, especially from a kid from his background that literally, he just had no idea he would be here, obviously, when he was a kid. It's phenomenal, man. Like, he's had a storied career. He's literally one of the greatest athletes we've ever had in the history of U.S. sports. So this is crazy. 31,000 points despite all the injuries and everything else. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I can't say greatest scorer of all time because obviously he's not there yet, but like he's the best. He scores the easiest of anyone I've ever watched play basketball. Like, it just looks effortless in a way that makes no sense, going against the best players in the world with the best coaches in the world, building their whole plan around stopping you night in, night out for almost 20 years. And he does it over and over and over again. But let's bounce to Orlando, Miami, because we got a little early preview of our NBA Cup quarterfinals. Philip Rossman-Reich was, of course, there to break it down from the Magic side of things.
This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic here at the Kia Center. The Orlando Magic hold off the Miami Heat 106-105 in a game that was played very much at the Magic speed, but not with the intensity or execution the Magic wanted. In the end, you get the win. That's all that matters. Paolo Banchero is back. He scored 9 points, grabbed 6 rebounds in about 20 minutes of action. Certainly a little bit of injury restrictions there. Looked generally pretty good, but the offense looked how people think it looks like when Paolo was in the game. The ball stuck a lot in the fourth quarter after Orlando took a little bit of a lead in that third quarter. They made some threes, that helps. Making shots helps. But Orlando was too stagnant and was struggling to get their offense moving against this very good Heat defense. Orlando's defense was a saving grace in the third quarter. It was a saving grace in the fourth quarter to help the Magic get the win. Some great defense on the last possession when the Heat were down by 1 to make them take a tough shot. They missed it, and the Magic get a huge win over Miami. We'll see them again on Tuesday for the NBA Cup, but the Magic have a lot to clean up before those big games next week.
Jalen Suggs does a great job chasing on that last possession after Norman Powell got them within 1. 2 straight layups. He doesn't let him touch the ball. Bam Adebayo has to throw up a prayer of a 3. I thought Franz Wagner was just excellent down the stretch of this one. And you've seen Orlando in this recent run, like, start to like figure out how they want to get that two-man game going between Bane and Franz. Like, there's one play that really stood out to me where, why can't I think of his name? Wendell Carter Jr. comes up to screen for Bane. Bam has to linger. Bane rejects it. And Bam is hanging out there, so he doesn't turn the corner on Jaime Jaquez. It forces Wiggins to drop down, tag WCJ rolling, and then spray to Franz. He gets to attack a desperate closeout from Wiggins, hesitation, right by him, layup. And there were just a bunch of interactions between those two down the stretch, like Bane setting a backscreen for him, Franz cutting for a layup on Wiggins, like over and over again. You see them mixing up their stars. And even though it's been a rough season for Paolo, I know a lot of people talk about Orlando being better without him. I'm on the fence about that. That starting lineup on the year with Paolo in it, plus 18.5, again, limited sample size so far, but there's some data to suggest that it's working, even if it's a little clunky at this particular moment. But how about we head to Cleveland, where Danny Cunningham was there for a big win over the Spurs that have remained super competitive despite no Victor Wembanyama, despite no Steph Castle. Like they are a pain to play, and Cleveland just dominates the third quarter of that one.
Danny Cunningham here at Rocket Arena after the Cavs beat the San Antonio Spurs 130-117. They're changing the floor into an ice rink right now, so we're just going to pretend that we're doing this or kind of guess how long 94 feet is on the concourse here. But this was a game where the Cavs looked like the Cavs for stretches, right? Like, I've talked about that at times this year where they just, even in games that they've won, they haven't looked the way that we expect them to look. Well, in the third quarter of this game, after trailing by, I believe it was 8 at halftime, they came out and they just beat the brakes off the Spurs. They won the third quarter 44-19. Defensively, they were fantastic. They forced a lot of turnovers, forced a lot of tough shots for the Spurs. I believe they made 15 of their first 17 shots in the third quarter. They were awesome on both ends of the floor. And I think one of the best parts about it for the Cavs is that this wasn't like Donovan Mitchell just carrying them the way that we've seen happen pretty frequently so far this year. It was a complete team effort. Jalen Tyson, fantastic in the third quarter, fantastic in the game. He finished with 24. He's had a really great week, really in all areas on the floor. Donovan had a good game, but the Cavs didn't need to rely upon him the way they have so many times this year. And the other thing that I thought was important to come out of this game is the Cavs were getting to the basket so much more frequently. They had 80 points in the paint, which is a season high for this team. They also only took 26 threes, which I would imagine is a season low for the Cavs. So the shot chart looked different. They played better defensively, and ultimately, this is the team they're supposed to look like, even if they're still shorthanded. Now, we'll see what they look like tomorrow, and I think that is arguably how they follow up is arguably more important than what they looked like tonight. But I think this is a step in the right direction, if nothing else, and we will see them again tomorrow night right here against the Golden State Warriors.
Super weird season for Cleveland, ton of injuries, but things maybe finally clicking into place. But let's go to Detroit, the team that actually leads the Eastern Conference. Sorry, disrespectful on my part, saving the Pistons all the way for the end. But I'm excited to hear what Ku Khahil has to say after they deal with like a tough Portland team and pull it out.
Locked On Pistons podcast, Ku Khahil here. No recap on the court today. As you can see, they got a bunch of stuff going on. I don't know what's going on. But the Detroit Pistons get this win over the Portland Trailblazers. They found themselves down by 5 with 3 minutes and 21 seconds left in this game after leading for the majority of this game. It looked like it was about to be the same story. Turnovers at the worst possible times. That game that you were leading for the majority of time. Now all of a sudden you find yourself down because you're turning the ball over. And Cade Cunningham came through for them, just like he has at multiple different times throughout this season. He scored 10 points after that point. He scored 11 total in the fourth quarter, but after that point, they went down 5, 3 minutes and 21 seconds left. Cade scored 10 points. He got downhill. He got to the free throw line. He made his free throws, and he slammed the door shut on the Portland Trailblazers. Denny Avdia is a problem. He was getting wherever he wanted to get to, but Cade Cunningham showed up again, just like he has so many different times this year for the Detroit Pistons. Showed up when they needed him, and he closed the deal. The Pistons get yet another win at LCA. Big time win for the Detroit Pistons. It's going really well for them.
Swipa, would you be surprised if I told you the Los Angeles Clippers did not win tonight?
That is one of the biggest misses of my very short NBA media career in the last 4 years so far. I was completely wrong about them, unfortunately, and I don't think it has anything to do with basketball. I think off court, man, I just think there's disease that's crept in there, and it's just not going to let go.
I think that's a good theory. Let's hear about the Grizzlies side of it. I know Cedric Howard had a big game. Here's Joe Mullinax, host of Locked On Grizzlies.
Coming back to Memphis after a 4-game road trip, the Grizzlies pick up a big win over the Clippers, building upon that 3-1 roadie with a victory back at FedEx Forum. The vibes continue to improve for this Grizzlies team. I'm Joe Mullinax of Locked On Grizzlies, and Cedric Howard continued to look the part of an all-NBA rookie first-team member. Really an impressive showing, and maybe we shouldn't be too surprised by that, considering he was going against one of his NBA comps and Kawhi Leonard in this contest. But it wasn't just Cedric Howard getting the work done for the Grizzlies. It was Cam Spencer continuing a really impressive run of successful basketball and making it more and more of a question. Ja Morant returning soon for Memphis in the next game or two, more than likely. But eventually, Ty Jerome will be back. Eventually, Scottie Pippen Jr. will be back. Cam Spencer has played well enough to stay in this rotation, but the question is, once this team is healthy, if that ever happens, who the heck hits the bench?
So 2 more games out east. The Philadelphia 76ers get a major performance from their bench. Boy, did they need it. 61 points. Quentin Grimes leading the way with 22. They cruise past the Milwaukee Bucks, leading by as many as 26 in the second quarter. Paul George, looking more like Paul George, 20 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, second best scoring game of the season. His first best scoring game of the season in their first game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Meanwhile, Milwaukee, the vibes are not good. They've lost 9 of their last 11. Giannis wants out. He is out, at least of a Bucks uniform, with that calf injury for about 4 weeks, according to Doc Rivers. AJ Green also gets hurt. It is not looking too hot over there. Meanwhile, the Toronto Raptors, who are one of the just the feel-good stories in the NBA after they've just sort of wandered in the wilderness for 5 years since their championship win, they get blown out by the Hornets. Their second loss to the Hornets in about a week. Charlotte only has 7 wins on the season, 2 of them coming against one of the better teams in the league in the Toronto Raptors. I don't really know what to make out of it. Swipa, Con Knippel, amazing again, 5 threes, 21 points. 8 assists. LaMelo Ball leaves after 12 minutes with left ankle, sort of stats concerning, but it's a big win for Charlotte, and it wraps up an incredible night of NBA action for us.
Con Knuppel might be rookie of the year so far.
He's the truth. All right, Swipa, check him out on Locked On Nuggets. I'm Gavin Schall. Check me out on Locked On Knicks. Plenty more to come on Locked On NBA Game Night.